What is going on, guys? Mulligan here with round 3 of the Sunday tournament held in week 3 of Smogon Tour 17. For those that just stumbled onto this video, this was a 4th gen OU tournament. If you missed the previous rounds, go check them out and come back here. Links to those will be in the description box below. Anyway, I am paired against none other than Ojama. RNG has gone my way so far, but this one could get dicey, and I'm wondering if my luck in this tournament is still going to continue. I hope so, but either way, I will have to find a way to step my game up if I want to advance to the next round. I'm going to stick with the same stall team that got me here, so let's get into it. I lead off with Heatran, and Ojama leads off with Tyranitar. This is going to immediately put me on the back foot, and I have to scout the set. I'm going to start off by switching to Skarmory, and Earthquake ends up getting revealed here. Now I'm actually going to stay in here again to set up a layer of spikes, and Ojama's going to reveal the Fire Blast, and Ojama also misses. The RNG continues to favor me. Now I don't want to get greedy by setting up another layer. It's way too early for that. Since this is a mixed Tyranitar, I go to Cresselia to activate Flame Orb and scare the T-Tar out. Ojama predicts the Flygon switch in and goes for Ice Beam. I immediately go for the Cycle Shift here, knowing my opponent will switch out, but I want to see if there's a Heatran on the team. Jirachi gets revealed, and I catch that instead. I'm not too sure what exactly this Jirachi set was. I wasn't too sure at the time, but I expected it to be some type of support set. Heatran's the best initial switch I have for it, so I go to it. Ojama, of course, predicts the switch, and he's going to show the Hidden Power Ground. Not too big of a deal since it looks like I can take another one and set up Stealth Rock. We both end up setting up Stealth Rock here, and I'm starting to guess what coverage moves this Jirachi has. If it's got Hidden Power Ground, I'm thinking it definitely has Psychic and either Grass Knot or Thunderbolt. I decide to scout to make sure this is the moveset I'm dealing with. I don't want Heatran taking too much damage just yet, so I go to Spiritomb on the Hidden Power Ground since it's specially defensive. Now Wish was another move I was hoping Ojama wasn't carrying, but it's looking doubtful. I stay into Shadow Ball, though I also carry Pursuit, which I was considering. I wanted to weaken Jirachi more before going for it though, and Ojama shows the Thunderbolt, so that means no Grass Knot, and the last move has to be Psychic. Now since Jirachi stayed in, I actually decide not to Pursuit and to switch to Cresselia instead, expecting another Thunderbolt, which ends up happening. The reason why I made this switch is because I wanted to take the opportunity to rest off all the damage Crest took and will take and either stall Jirachi out or weaken it to the point where it isn't a threat anymore. And I also need to keep Crest as healthy as possible since it looks like Ojama's team could be offensive in nature. Now here I'm going to go for the Sleep Talk since Crest has the advantage against this Jirachi. Ojama switches back to Tyranitar actually. It's probably because there's no longer a fear of getting burned. When I saw this switch, I was hoping to roll a Cycle Shift though, and I do get it, and it hits, and things are looking pretty good for me so far. Now you would think I could safely go to Dugtrio and take this thing out, right? But because this is Smogon Tour, people tend to not use standard sets with standard items. I don't see leftovers or Life Orb, so I instead go to Skarmory to Whirlwind T-Tar out because I was actually thinking the T-Tar could have Shuka Berry since this was the lead, so it'd need to be weaker for Dugtrio to KO it through Shuka. I was also considering the possible second turn Wake. I go for the Whirlwind. Unfortunately, the second turn Wake happens and Ojama lands the Fire Blast this time. Skarm takes a meaty 65%, which still doesn't tell me what item this T-Tar is carrying. Jirachi gets dragged in and the residual damage finishes it off, which unfortunately gives Ojama a free switch, and T-Tar comes back in. I don't want to sack Skarm yet because I was actually thinking either Dragonite or Gyarados were possibilities, especially after I trap and take out the T-Tar. I go to Spiritomb to fodder it, hoping that I don't need it later. I figured whatever Spiritomb can take care of, Dugtrio can as well. Fire Blast comes my way and I catch a burn, which probably didn't matter in the short term. It does allow Ojama to get the KO with the 100% accurate Ice Beam though, but it may have KO'd Spiritomb anyway, even though it's specially defensive. Not sure since I don't know Ojama's exact EV spread on this T-Tar. But anyway, T-Tar's weak enough to where Dugtrio can KO it with Earthquake through Shuka Berry, so I bring it in, take the T-Tar out, and Ojama brings in one of the Pokemon I feared, but am not surprised to see, Dragonite. This is the reason I healed up with Cresselia earlier, and a reason why Cress is on the team. She can take a Draco Meteor and any follow-up move from Mix Knight, and rest off the damage. Unfortunately, this Dragonite is Choice Banded, and Outrage completely decimates Cress. Now, seeing that it's banded and locked into Outrage, Keytran is the only switch I have that will live. Now, my defensive play of switching Skarm into T-Tar earlier instead of making the riskier, more aggressive play by going to Dugtrio has come back to bite me, and Skarm's too weak to take an Outrage. I immediately roared the Dragonite out. Flygon gets dragged in. I had to risk staying in, hoping Flygon would U-turn, and Ojama does end up going for it. I almost click Roar again, but the last second decide on Lava Plume, which was a huge mistake on my part, and maybe the nail in the coffin since Dragonite gets to pick something else off. So I fought her off the Heatran since there's nothing else it can do, and my opponent locks into Outrage again. I bring Dugtrio in on the free switch. The best move I can lock into is Aerial Ace, since it's the most accurate move that does the most damage. I finish off the Dragonite, but the damage has been done, and Ojama reveals one of his last two Gyarados. And I honestly didn't expect both Dragonite and Gyarados to be on the same team. It got me wondering if the last Pokemon was a spinner or not. Either way, I have to switch out, and I'm expecting a Dragon Dance. I show my last, which is Celebi, the only thing I have to take on Gyarados at this point, and Dragon Dance is the play. Now, I go for Perish Song here, expecting a bounce and hoping that this doesn't have Taunt, but Ice Fang is the coverage move instead, and Ojama misses, thankfully. This tells me that Taunt might not be on this Gyara. Now, my opponent does hit the second Ice Fang though, and even at +1, it does less than 50% still. Unfortunately, that doesn't really help me because of the Stealth Rock damage I took coming in and the Sand negating Leftovers recovery, and I have to recover to eventually force Gyara out. Now, Ojama quickly sees what I'm doing and switches back to Flygon, predicting me to recover again, which I end up doing. I probably should have just taken the risk and either U-turned out or go for the Psychic, but I played it safe instead. Too safe, given the fact that I'm really behind right now. Here I decided to go back to Skarm. Even if Ojama predicts that and goes for something like Thunder Punch or Fire Punch, at least I'll know what Flygon is locked into, so I can take advantage of the free switch and try to get something going. I end up catching a U-turn instead, and my opponent goes back to Gyarados. Here I think I went for Roost, hoping that maybe Skarm could survive an unboosted Waterfall, but this is Gyarados, and Skarm is specially defensive, so no dice. I'm going to bring Dugtrio back in on the free switch, and I'm actually going to go for the obvious play and click Stone Edge, because I was predicting Ojama to stay in and not expect me to lock into Stone Edge, knowing there's a Flygon, and it ended up working out. But my opponent is going to reveal his last, and it is Scizor, and that is the nail in the coffin. It really doesn't matter what set this Scizor is running, because there's no way I can beat it with Dugtrio or Celebi, because I'm not carrying Hidden Power Fire. It turns out that it's a Swords Dance variant, which makes sense since it's been kept in the back this whole game. This match ended up a bit closer than I expected, but those few mistakes earlier and me not taking any risks are what cost me the game in the end, and I just ended up locking into Stone Edge with Dugtrio to get as much damage as I can. Bringing Celebi, my last. I'm going to go for the Perish Song, and I'm just hoping to stay alive here, but it's unfortunate. I'm just not going to be able to finish things up. And what is this? Aqua Lewis coming in like a ninja and executing the assassination. Nah, I'm kidding. Ojama had some shaky internet that day, so they allowed Aqua Lewis to come in and finish the match. But it was a pretty good match. And my tournament run comes to an end for week 3. I can't ever seem to get past round 3 in these things, but given the fact that I hadn't played 4th gen in months before entering this tournament, I think I did pretty well. Some RNG definitely went my way, but at the end of the day, it's Pokemon. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button just below the video. If you loved it, share it with your friends across the internet, and follow me at the social clubs I hang out at. Twitter, Google+, the whole shebang. Links to those will be in the description box below. And until the next video, take care, guys. Peace.